Hello, welcome and namaste. In this video, I will share how you can create a solid portfolio project in just 6 to 12 weeks. So let's get diving. How many solid projects do you need for an excellent high paying job? Share your comment in chat or in the video. Now, you probably need many, like hundreds of projects to learn a programming language, framework, or tool, but you just need one project, one solid project for your interview. I got my first 3 jobs just because of the portfolio projects. So my first job was in 2000. It was an academic project in my boot camp. My second job was based on the first project that I did for about a year on my first job. My third job was a migration project that I did on my side during my second job. Microsoft released .NET and I started learning. I completely migrated the project on my own on my side, and I used that to during my interview to talk about it, and I got a job in the top 5 software development company. Most of the time when you go for an interview, your last project is the discussion of that interview. Depending upon how good is that project, you can grab attention, you can go deeper, you can talk about not only technology but the thought process you had around that project. So far, how many projects have you created? Put that in comments. Now, if you build a new project using the trending technologies, especially the one that is good in your job market, whichever market that you're looking at, it can help you secure a high-paying job. Now is your opportunity to create a solid project in just 6 weeks or 12 weeks. 12 weeks is a quarter. Now remember, in my approach, you will learn that there are about 70% of the work is planning, ideation, breaking things apart, process. Coding is just 30%, and this video is not an emphasis on coding. This video is an emphasis on everything else that is needed. So who I am? My name is Vinod Sharma. I have 24 years experience in software development. I've worked as a senior developer, I've worked as team leader, I've worked as manager, and I'm a senior manager at Advent Health right now. And I manage work across 5 teams from the point we have a new idea to plan that development work and have it tested and release and do all the communication. On my side, I've been helping developer to build their online presence, get noticed by other developers or recruiters or hiring managers, and get them a high-paying job. That's my goal. That's my ultimate goal, to give you a career that you would love, give you a perspective that your career is 30-40 years, and there are many twists and turns that you will encounter, but as long as you have a direction, as long as you have a right attitude, you will get there. These are some of the nice comments that I have received from different people. Now, when you build a portfolio project, go with end in mind. What that means is you're creating this project for your interviews, so think about what are the different questions that interviewer will ask you, and start with that. So take notes when you're building this project, when you're selecting a project, when you are solving a problem, when you are picking a technology or tool. Document all this so that when you're going for interview, you know you already have all these materials there. And again, you're thinking about all the challenges that you will face. You're thinking about all the conflict, team conflict or issues, or how do you plan a project, how do you plan a coding, and then how would you test and all. So you have to think about all that, not just the coding. All right. So how do you start? If you're building a portfolio project, and if you can find some of the team members, find 2-3 people, that's great. But don't go beyond that. You can do all this by your own, but by working as a team, you will get a professional experience, and then you will have more things to talk about in your interview. When you're thinking about your team members, think about their roles. What are the different roles that they will play? Obviously, everybody want to have an end-to-end perspective, but they probably want to pick a primary role, and then also picking a as who will manage the project, who will be primary for GitHub management, deployments, and all that kind of thing. And then have some kind of agreement within the team member that everybody will check their messages at least once a day. When will be the team meeting, their commitment of how many hours that they will be able to spend on a daily or weekly basis, right? These are some of the example, but have some kind of understanding. The most important thing that you want to make sure is the team member that you're picking or the team that you're joining has the same emotions and need as you are. You don't want to join another person who have 5 other things on their plate, and job searching is not their primary one. Another thing to consider when picking your team is to think about complementary skills. If you're very good at back end and there is a person with a very good front end skill, you probably want to join them. Same thing with overall perspective. Somebody is good with the high level vision, and you're good with detail orientation, where you bog down into so much detail. That person can bring you to see the bigger picture and leave one of the issue that you have already spent 2 days on, right? So think about that. Now, this is a high level timeline for the project. So from week number 1 to week number 6, you can divide the entire work. They start with picking up a project, define the features, application flow, wireframe. So in the week 1, you're focusing on what the project is, what it does, and how it will flow from screen to screen. Week number 2 is where you're focusing on the technology and setting up GitHub, Jira, your local machine. Week 3 to 5 is where you're coding. And if you are going for a bigger window, then that week 3 to 10 is where you're coding. So you will notice that week 3 to 5 or 3 to 10 is the difference when you have a bigger window to work through. But that's where you're coding, testing, bug fixing, and creating a buzz in public by posting daily or weekly, whatever work for you. And then the last 2 weeks is where you finish the code, you create some kind of presentation, you take all the notes and create a story that you can share in your interview, and also put in your resume, LinkedIn, and portfolio. When we are working in DSD, Dallas Software Developer Group cohort, there is a presentation at the end. You can find your friends and present it to them. So last 2 weeks is for that. And again, if you have bigger window, the middle section, you get more time for coding. Otherwise, everything remain the same. All right, so let's get into week by week work. Week number 1, defining your project. So you pick a project idea, expand that project idea into feature set and area of work. Think about the wireframe, think about creating stories. Think 70% of your project is planning, dissecting the work, pseudo coding, flow charting. If you do all that nice, then the coding is only 30% of the work. So these are some of the project idea that I have come up with. I use ChatGPT to refine these, and then so you could pick one of these ideas or work on your own. So this is just an example. But once you have that idea, what important is how you breaking those. In this case, there's a testimonial site in which there's authentication layer. Then we have testimonial management. There's membership and payment, right? So on the level 1, you have the high level project, and then level 2 you divide that into different areas of work, and then level 3 you divide them further, and level 4 you go really deep into a story level of work. So that's one of the method where you can divide the work. There is other method as well where you divide the work based on design, coding, testing, and all that kind of thing. Then come to defining the application flow. A typical application have the sign in, create account, forget password, home, and then some kind of a landing page which we call home, and then bifurcation of different screens. So you want to create at a high level and then go deeper into different sections. So for this one, I will give you an example of how we have done this for Dallas Group. These are the listing, high level listing of different features. From there is a high level mapping of the user flow. Then we refined it a bit. There are a couple of iterations, right? So this is how it work. You just break things apart, you connect the dot, and you keep going, right? And that kind of process, that kind of work can clarify, at least in your mind, what project that you're building. You may also want to go even more deeper, in which you will define that there will be login page, home screen. This is create a travel itinerary. And here you can see that there are steps to call the API or the database and then display that information. These are not syntax, but a very high level idea of what you will do in this screen. Same thing here. It's a list of itinerary, and then these are kind of the column and some kind of samples. So all these steps is to clarify your idea, clarify your thought process, and how the coding will occur. Now, this is an example how you can think about a screen and how that will interact with external APIs or the backend layer. You're going deeper into the next step is the wireframing, and I want to emphasize you don't have to use Figma or any other sophisticated tool. You could do all these in a notepad, and when you do something on notepad, you can go obviously very deep, and it's just easier. You're removing all the technology hurdle, and you are putting your best foot forward. There are notebooks like this, like big notebook that allow you to think in any direction without any technology hurdle. At this point, we have picked a team, we have picked a project, we have dissected all that, right? Now it's the time to pick different tools. So there are a couple of tools that you need: GitHub, Jira, Figma, Visual Studio, Google Doc. Those are some of the tools that I would suggest. In GitHub for your coding as a source control. That's where you are storing all your code, documents, and collaborating with your team members. So very first step would be to create a GitHub repository, add your team member, create folders, have a README file that so for example, create a project, create a README file, add all the information, add your project members and things like that, right? So do all that. And then one of the activities that you want to do is, obviously you can have a GitHub through command line and all, but the easiest thing that I have seen, once your team member have added, they could go to code and then select SSH, open with GitHub desktop. When they do that, first time they will be asked to download the application, and then they will be able to see see their code repository directly there, directly inside GitHub desktop. There you can also open the project in Visual Studio Code and can directly make changes. So it connects all the pieces together, become really fast, and then it also detect any changes, and you will be able to submit directly from this place. So you don't have to mess with all the command line code. Okay, all right, so let's keep going. So once that is done, ensure that your team member, everybody is able to make some changes and validate that. Then Figma. Figma is another tool. I just shown you how we have used it to define, to break the project, create the flow. It can also be used for database designing and all. There are many tools exist. Again, my number one suggestion is do not go after all these fancy options. Just stick with the basic one and more focus on planning, brainstorming, and then coding. Same thing in Figma. You can find hundreds and hundreds of templates, and you can spend just 2 weeks on exploring Figma. So don't do that. Just use the sticky notes and flowcharts, and you will be good. Jira also come with 10 user license for free, so it will be enough for your team members. So create an account, create a project. This is I can show an online version. So this is our project. So in Jira, you create a Jira account, then you create a project, you add your team member. There are multiple views that you get. This is a timeline view where you create epic. Consider epic as a grouping of similar type of work. And then stories. There are epic, stories, tasks, subtasks, bugs. I suggest you keep it simple with just 2 layers and use Kanban to manage your work. So in this case, all the work will be in to-do column. Anytime a team member pick up work, they move it to progress, and then they will move it to finish, to complete. So use that. There are alternate options like Trello is there, GitHub project is there, Notion is there, Asana is there. I like GitHub project as also the benefit that you will get from GitHub project is it's right there. It's one less tool to worry about. So you can create a project within GitHub, add your team member, manage your work, same type of thing that you have seen in Jira. Now the benefit with Jira is many professional companies use Jira. There are a lot that you could do. So you will be able to show that you have used one of the professional software out there. Anyway, let's keep going. You will need a software to manage the communication. So you want to have synchronized communication and asynchronized communication. Synchronized communication when you are in a group call, message call, phone call, conference call. You could use different type of tool there. WhatsApp is there, Telegram is there, Zoom, Slack, Discord. Keep it simple. This is an option where you could just use Discord. It comes with, you can create channels for message. You can have voice channel for a conference call. You can share video. You can have a video conference call, voice conference call, as well as share your screen. Again, you can do the same thing with Slack as well. So I'm not suggesting one tool or the other, but keep it simple. Do not create too many channels or something. Just have few and start with that, and then you can add as many you want. When it comes to communication, also think about Google Doc, Confluence, or GitHub Markdown so that you're storing your documents there. Oh, I have a separate slide for that anyway. So any one of the tool will work. So we have spent a lot of time on tools. Let's jump into the coding. So week number 3 is when you start thinking about code, database, and different other things. So week 3 to 5 is for your coding. If you have a longer window, then week 3 to 10 is where you're coding, different screens, database, backend, And during this time, you will have some kind of weekly check-in with your team member. Daily check-ins is even better depending upon how much time and availability you have among each other. One of the things that you want to do during this process is to post in social media, especially LinkedIn, so that you're creating a buzz. And then week number 5 is when you're finishing all the coding, you're deploying your solution somewhere, you're making sure that there is a live site, demo site that other people can access. You're also working on a presentation. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then week number 6 is where you're finishing your presentation, you're updating your resume, portfolio sites, and all that kind of thing. In presentation, again, you want to think about who were your team member, what was your project, why did you select this project, and what problem this project solve, why did you select technology, well, what technology you selected, why you selected that while there are so many other options. So you want to match that for this type of project. You selected React because XYZ. You selected a SQL Server versus a NoSQL or MongoDB. So you have to have some kind of thought process there. All the discussion that you will have in the first and second week will be helpful here. So that's why I suggested take notes, take journal, and then use that to build your presentation. Talk about all the challenges that you have seen, all different challenges that you have seen, and then have different screenshots as well as video so that you can update your README file. If somebody go to your portfolio website or GitHub, they will be able to see all these screenshot, video. They don't have to have an account to start, but they can just watch a 30-second or a minute or 5-minute video to see what this application does. And you can also have your screenshots of your your Figma, your process that you have gone through, your earlier iteration with the new iteration. So all those tells a story, and you definitely want to share all that. Once all that is done, there are additional things that you will be able to do, such as prepare your interview, take some notes that you will be sharing in your interview. As I've said, think about other aspects beyond coding, and then create your 30-second pitch. So anytime you're meeting someone in a space or in a meetup, or you can quickly talk about this project. So create a pitch and then say in a way that other person is asking, all right, tell me more about this particular topic. These are different things that you can use to create the pitch. There are ChatGPT prompt I recently created, so you can use that as well. And then these are different online platforms where you want to create buzz. And that's it. So if you have any question, please post that in comment and I will answer each of them. If you would like to have a conversation with me, reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter and I can message there. I love creating projects. I will be able to help. I'm helping with this Dallas software developer group. And Kunal reached out to me. He wanted to do it on his own. So I created this presentation for a video and I wanted to see if more people can do it themselves. I will be happy to answer any questions. I will be happy to join one of your team meeting and have any kind of detailed conversation with you guys, right? So number one goal, go build a solid project that you could use in your interview. All right, bye for now.